What is good? Thank you for tuning in for today's Rice Rewind. I am re-releasing my first interview with Roger Ver. He is an early Bitcoin OG and advocate, as well as an early investor in many cryptocurrency startups. He has also been known as both Bitcoin Jesus and Bitcoin Judas. This interview was first recorded and released on December the 12th, 2019. And unfortunately, while recording this interview, there was some sort of technical difficulty that caused some sort of issue with my voice, but otherwise, this is a fantastic interview.
Is it Ver or Veer?
Yeah, so it used to be Veer, and then everybody would say Ver all the time. So now I say Ver sometimes too. So
But is it
one is fine.
Is it Veer though?
It used to be. It definitely used to be Veer.
So when you were born and your family's name is Veer.
Yeah, everybody used to say Veer within the family, and then everyone else, when they'd read the name, would say Ver. But Ver is kind of starting to become Ver at this point. So
I'm just gonna go with Veer.
I'm not opinionated on that.
All right. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, today we are joined by Roger Ver, or as some call him, Roger Ver, but he was definitely born Roger Ver. Roger, man, I appreciate you joining me on the Rise Crypto Show. How you doing today, man?
Glad to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, man, and I really appreciate your time because I know you're traveling. Today you're in Singapore, and who knows where you'll be tomorrow. But again, I appreciate your time. And there were some things that I definitely wanted to talk with you about during this interview because I've been involved in cryptocurrency for a couple of years. And at the time of the first ever Bitcoin hard fork, which gave creation of Bitcoin Cash, I was semi-new to the whole thing. And I honestly fed into pretty much what the cryptocurrency news and most of the people were talking and putting a negative connotation on you. But throughout the years, after watching interviews and checking out more of your content, you're starting to make more sense in an element that I'm starting to relate to. So those were some of the first things I wanted to talk with you about was from your perspective to educate some people, what exactly occurred to cause the first ever Bitcoin hard fork creating Bitcoin Cash?
Yeah, so that's quite a question with quite a backstory there. There had kind of been a civil war brewing within Bitcoin that kind of maybe got started in 2014 or 15, I would say. And there were two different philosophical camps. One camp wanted Bitcoin to be money for the entire world, where everybody could use it to buy and sell everything from coffee to automobiles and everything else. And then another camp thought that it should just be this thing that you hold and you don't actually use it for the payments on chain. And so those two camps were kind of arguing with each other online. There was lots of heated, passionate discussion online about that. And the main places where those discussions were taking place was a website called bitcointalk.org and then our Bitcoin on Reddit. And then at some point in maybe 2015 or 16, I'd have to go back and check and see the exact date it happened. But all of a sudden overnight, one guy controlled both of those websites, and overnight he decided to ban anybody's account that had a different opinion than his own and delete anybody who posted anything with a different opinion from his own. So literally, like Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, was having his post deleted, and like everybody that used to be a part of this one big giant happy Bitcoin family, and maybe there were some disagreements and people would talk about things and say, here's why I think this and here's why you think that, and there was lots of discussion about it, but everybody was still talking about it. And then the censorship started overnight, and that's when things got really, really nasty. And I had been kind of watching the scaling debate. I was definitely a big blocker at heart, but I was just kind of keeping quiet and reading everything and just listening to what other people had to say before. And I didn't express really my own opinion at all. And then when the censorship started, it became clear to me. You had one side that was supporting free and open discussion of ideas, and then you had the small block side that was doing everything they could to literally delete people's posts and ban people's accounts from posting things that had opinions that were different than the ones that they agreed with. It was clear to me, like the decision was made right then and there when the censorship started. I'm siding myself with the free speech camp and the camp that supports free and open discussion. and that evolved into becoming the Bitcoin Cash fork of Bitcoin. But if you look at it, like there used to just be one Bitcoin, and that one single Bitcoin had these two ideological camps. The one that wanted Bitcoin to be money wound up becoming Bitcoin Cash. So it doesn't have that Bitcoin name, but it has all of those economic characteristics that made Bitcoin popular to begin with. And it has the same goal and target that made Bitcoin popular to begin with. And the thing that everyone's calling Bitcoin today, it has the Bitcoin name, but it doesn't have those same characteristics that made Bitcoin popular to begin with. But when the split happened, it managed to get all of the infrastructure, all of the exchanges, all of the wallets, just for a technical reason of the way the split happened. Bitcoin has all the infrastructure, and all the people like myself that built Bitcoin to begin with and made it popular to begin with, we kind of had to start over from scratch somewhat and rebuild all of this infrastructure on top of Bitcoin Cash. But I think people are starting to realize it now. Bitcoin Cash is faster, cheaper, easier, and more reliable to use than just about any other version of Bitcoin out there. And so it's starting to get some attention because of that. And I'm still super, super bullish on Bitcoin Cash. It has tokens, it has fast payments, and all of these things used to be getting started on Bitcoin. Like a lot of people don't realize it, that smart contracts and tokens were getting started on Bitcoin like way back in like 2012.
People like counterparty was
exactly
one.
counterparty. Yeah, exactly, counterparty and colored coins, and there was a lot of stuff happening. And then every time those things started to get traction, the same people that are mainly involved with Blockstream today and the Bitcoin core developers, they literally pulled the rug out from under those things like counterparty. Like imagine if all those tokens had been on Bitcoin. Vitalik probably never would have left Bitcoin to make Ethereum. He just would have done cool stuff on top of Bitcoin. The entire wild ICO craze that we had a couple years back all would have been on top of Bitcoin. Bitcoin still would have had 90-something% market share. It would have been amazing, but instead Bitcoin's ability to be useful for people in actual commerce was intentionally damaged. And like, I'm not the one attacking Bitcoin. I'm the one sounding the alarm bell saying Bitcoin has been under attack. And then these people that are doing the attacking claim that I'm the one doing the attacking, and then they censor anybody that wanted to speak the truth. They would literally ban their account and delete their post from the main discussion platforms. Then everybody that came to Bitcoin after the censorship started, they were only allowed to hear one side of the story, which is Roger is a scammer, Bitcoin Cash is a scam, everything that's not BTC sucks. And if that's what everybody around you tells you from the time you get in the industry, you'll believe it. Just like if everybody around you told you the world was flat from the day you were born, you would believe that too. Or if everybody told you Santa Claus was real, you would believe that too. And so everybody that came to Bitcoin after the censorship started heard this false narrative, but they believed it because that was the only thing that they were allowed to hear.
No, and I totally agree. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on for this interview in particular. So with all that being said, were you instrumental, or were you there day one when Bitcoin Cash forked, or did you join at a later date?
Yeah, so a lot of people on the internet, you'll see them saying that I'm the founder of Bitcoin Cash or the creator of Bitcoin Cash.
I didn't think you were.
Yeah, well, a lot of people say it, but the truth is I had nothing to do with the creation of Bitcoin Cash, and I didn't join until months and months later. And so there was this other attempt to allow Bitcoin to scale to be money for the world, or a compromise. It was called SegWit 2x. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people misconstrue my position on SegWit. Like I was basically indifferent. And the fact that myself and my business were supporting this SegWit 2x attempt, which was to integrate segregated witness and increase the block size from 1 megabyte to 2 megabyte, technically means I'm a SegWit supporter, right? And so all the businesses, all the wallets, everybody was on board with that. And I don't know if it was a government psyop or what it was, but somehow a bunch of people on the internet got convinced into thinking that like allowing Bitcoin to double its network capacity was a bad idea. And they managed to scare all these businesses away from doing that. And when SegWit 2x failed, that was when I said in advance though, I said, if SegWit 2x fails, I'm going to divert all of my time and attention and effort and resources and Bitcoin.com to promoting the Bitcoin Cash version of Bitcoin if SegWit 2x isn't allowed to happen. And sure enough, SegWit 2x wasn't allowed to happen. So I held true to my word. I've been supporting Bitcoin Cash since then. But if you kind of look at it, what happened is, so Blockstream's entire business model is to like sell people access to their side chains and their second layer of technologies. But if layer one works great, you don't need any of their technology. So basically what they did is they broke layer one and then said, oh, hey, we have a solution to you. We'll sell you with layer two. So it'd be like if I broke your legs and then sold you a pair of crutches and said, see, if it wasn't for me selling you a pair of crutches, you wouldn't be able to walk at all. But no, never mind the fact that I'm the guy who broke your legs to begin with. And that's exactly what happened with Bitcoin and the Blockstream and this whole
I completely agree with you 100%. And I'm kind of glad that you went there on your own, because I was going to try to get you to kind of go where you just went. I do own Bitcoin Cash. Now, I'm not here saying that Bitcoin Cash is Bitcoin. I'm not a Bitcoin Cash maximalist. I believe in innovation, and I know you believe in innovation as well. But with that being said, I do know that using Bitcoin Cash, because I do use it, I'm sponsored by Monarch. Monarch, you guys have a partnership with Monarch, and I work some payments out with some Bitcoin Cash. So I have Bitcoin Cash. It's faster. It's definitely faster. I will definitely say that, and it definitely interacts more as cash. So I appreciate you being honest about everything with this, and like I said, I meant to say it's also less expensive. So Bitcoin Cash is definitely less expensive and faster, in my opinion, than Bitcoin. Now, since you mentioned SegWit, what are your thoughts and feelings on the Lightning Network?
Yeah, if they can figure out all the issues with Lightning Network, great. The world has one more useful tool. So I'm not opposed to Lightning Network, but what I'm opposed to is we had something that was working really, really well for payments all over the world, and it was called Bitcoin. And they intentionally broke the thing that was working really, really well to tell everybody to go and use this thing that might work someday in the future called Lightning Network. And even today, Lightning Network, it's not ready. Like the Lightning Labs just put out on Twitter like a couple of weeks ago saying, don't store any money in this that you're not willing to lose. And the Casa Node, Lightning full node manufacturer said, don't store any money on this at all, just within like the last month. And I hope it works, but like it's not there yet. And if you have something that's working, don't break the thing that's working in favor of something that might possibly work in the future. And it's so clear. If Lightning Network ever gets figured out so it works, it'll work better, faster, cheaper, more reliably on top of Bitcoin Cash than it will on top of any full block version of Bitcoin.
So would you be opposed to, if like the Lightning Network is to a point, to adding SegWit and making that available for like Bitcoin Cash on the Lightning Network in the future?
Feel free. Like I think people should use anything that's useful. If it's useful to people in their lives, they should use it.
Okay, cool. Now, I definitely agree that Bitcoin has been hijacked. It's been limited. It's been throttled on purpose. And I've come to the conclusion, basically, is what you're talking about, is the culprit seems to be Blockstream. I'm not a big fan of Blockstream after doing this research, and that's the reason why I wanted to bring you on, to be able to ask you these questions, because what really saddens me about a lot of this is, and we'll get into the Blockstream stuff, but you were known as Bitcoin Jesus, and now you were known as Bitcoin Judas. So how did that start? Who started it? Was this Blockstream? Is this some kind of campaign to discredit you, to make your voice seem like it's minimal? How do you respond to that?
Yeah, so I guess one step at a time. So Bitcoin Jesus, I'm not exactly sure when or how that name got started, but because from 2011, I was the one out there. In 2011, I literally put up the world's first billboard on the side of one of the busiest expressways in Silicon Valley, advertising Bitcoin. I was paying for national radio ads across more than 100 stations across the entire United States, promoting Bitcoin. I was doing all this out of my own pocket. I set up the first website to start accepting Bitcoin for normal products. I set up a website called bitcoinstore.com that was accepting Bitcoin for payment for more than 500,000 consumer electronics products at prices mostly cheaper than Amazon. And up till that point, everybody was saying, well, Bitcoin, all you can buy with it is drugs on the Silk Road. But then when I launched that website, we could tell everybody, no, you can buy just about anything at prices cheaper than Amazon. And that's what was the impetus for other businesses like Newegg and Tiger Direct and Overstock to start accepting Bitcoin as well. And so I was out there and I funded the seed investment for basically all the first generation of Bitcoin businesses, right? So just about all of them. I was the only one out there years before any of the other traditional venture capital guys got involved. And so somehow along the way, people started calling me Bitcoin Jesus. And then when I had the opinion that Bitcoin should continue to be a peer-to-peer electronic cash system that people can actually use in real-world commerce, some other people that didn't like that tried to put together the narrative to re-nickname me into Bitcoin Judas. But if you look at it, I'm promoting the exact same thing I was promoting in 2011. So if anything, the people that are calling me Bitcoin Judas are a bunch of liars and scammers for trying to shift the narrative like that. I've been promoting a peer-to-peer electronic cash system since 2011. And back then it was called Bitcoin. Today it's called Bitcoin Cash. And I think there's definitely some Bitcoin-ness about BTC. There's some Bitcoin-ness about BCH. There's even some Bitcoin-ness about BSV. But if you look at the very title of the white paper, is that it's a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. If the thing that everybody's calling Bitcoin today isn't attempting to be a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, I don't think it has very much of a claim to the name Bitcoin. But with the way the fork happened, they wound up with that name, and they're just furious with the fact that I'm saying, if you're not trying to be the very title of the white paper, I don't think it's very accurate to call it Bitcoin. And they're mad because Bitcoin.com has more traffic and more users and more attention than Bitcoin.org does.
Right.
They're doing more to drive adoption too. So.
And so with me having my Bitcoin flag here, I mean, like I'm definitely a believer in Bitcoin, but it's not like how you're saying. It's not the Bitcoin that's today that I believe in. It's the brand. It's the idea that Satoshi Nakamoto was creating with the white paper. That's what this is for. You know, and I
think
believe
that's the real question too. Moving forward, the question is, will the brand of Bitcoin win out, or will this better user experience and better technology of Bitcoin Cash win out in the long run? So it's the brand versus the better technology with Bitcoin Cash. Which one's going to win out? And we don't know. But I'm placing my time and money and effort on the better technology winning out. And I think it will, but it's not guaranteed. And we saw, for those that are old enough to remember, we saw that with VHS and Beta, right? The better technology didn't win out in that case. The better brand with the better marketing did. But I'm pretty optimistic with Bitcoin Cash still, very optimistic.
And I definitely like Bitcoin Cash. So I mean, I'm not saying anything negative at all. And when I say the brand, you know, Bitcoin may not always be the top dog. It may be some other innovative cryptocurrency. It might be Bitcoin Cash. It might be something that we've never even heard of, that somebody's going to take and solve all these issues, take kind of the best of, and make something that we can truly use. And I know I've heard you say in other interviews that if there was another cryptocurrency out there that did the things that Satoshi wanted, that Bitcoin is supposed to do, that you would get behind those projects as well.
And arguably, you can say that I've already done that, right? So I switched from promoting BTC to BCH. If something even better than BCH or Bitcoin Cash comes along, I'll switch to promoting that too. And I don't think you ever hear that from any of these Bitcoin maximalist type. They think that the Bitcoin BTC version is the best thing that could ever possibly be invented or created, and they're never ever going to switch from anything from that. That's foolish nonsense.
Yeah, and we'll get into some of the other altcoins that you're into, but I wanted to ask, or a series of questions. Do you feel like Blockstream, with like their side chains like Liquid, that they're able to motivate Bitcoin core developers by paying them to develop on Liquid and work for Blockstream directly to make money, as opposed to working on something like Bitcoin Core without having really an entity to pay them and be compensated? Do you feel like Blockstream is doing this for profit purposes, and is this where we're at?
Well, I don't know. Here, if you want to look at who's supporting the real Bitcoin, you have Blockstream that raised like 120 million US dollars from traditional financial companies, right? Like AIG and banks and that sort of thing. And then they're telling everybody, oh, use sidechains and this and that. And then you have people like myself who made almost all of my money from Bitcoin and from buying Bitcoin early on with my own money. And Bitcoin.com is all self-funded. We haven't taken a single penny of outside investment at all. And we're busy promoting Bitcoin Cash. So like, which one's interests are more aligned with the future of Bitcoin and peer-to-peer cash? The ones that got $120 million from the traditional financial institutions that have the most to lose from Bitcoin taking over and being used as money for the world? Or me, that like, all I'm trying to do is empower individuals to have more control over their own lives and not need permission from those banks and those legacy financial institutions that invested the $120 million into Blockstream. So follow the money if you want to see who's more likely to be promoting the truth and promoting the Bitcoin that's going to empower individuals to have more control of their own lives and not need the banks.
I agree. And I encourage people to definitely educate themselves. You know, you got to do your own research and think for yourself, and not believe what you're being told, because sometimes what you're being told is not correct. So, and especially in a situation like this, you know, I mean, I definitely, when I first got involved in the space, started to look down on you. But like I said, over the years, that sentiment has changed after listening to you talk and hearing you say the things that you're saying in this interview. I just kind of want to compile them in one place and also kind of get some questions answered for myself too. Now,
thanks for keeping an open mind, by the way, too, because that's what I'd like to ask everybody. Keep an open mind, right? Don't close yourself off. And that's the part that was so frustrating when the censorship started within the Bitcoin community. Like Bitcoin's supposed to be censorship resistant money, yet the community is engaging in massive censorship of discussion within it. Like, what a crazy double standard. So ask everybody to keep an open mind and keep the dialogue going. So thank you for
No,
keeping
no
it open
problem,
minded.
dude. And I appreciate you. I appreciate all you're doing. Has by any chance the BCH that would be entitled to Satoshi Nakamoto, has that been touched at all?
I didn't understand or hear the question properly.
So when the Bitcoin Cash hard fork took place, Bitcoin Cash hard fork took place and Bitcoin Cash was created, there would be everybody got a 1-for-1 ratio to own Bitcoin. So with Satoshi Nakamoto's coins, have any of those coins been touched at all?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Has there been any?
I know for a fact, so touching on Satoshi Nakamoto, Craig Wright at some point put out a list of a bunch of coins to the court that he claimed that he owned. But a bunch of those coins that he was claiming he owned were like the coins that were stolen from Mt. Gox and other people's coins. And so he was like lying about those coins anyhow. So I don't know is the short answer about the Satoshi Nakamoto coins.
Was there any question in the community about trying to do anything about those coins that are just locked up, not being touched?
And some people have talked about confiscating them or making them invalid or that sort of thing. So I don't have much of an opinion other than probably just leave them alone, right? If they haven't moved for a decade.
Yeah, I was just
things
curious.
Aren't broken, don't fix it.
It's just one of those things I was curious about. So I guess now just to move on to outside of that stuff, because that kind of answers all those questions, that element. And I appreciate your transparency and your honesty. Do you want to kind of, since it's the end of the year, do like a little bit of a year in review of Bitcoin Cash and some of the things you guys have done as far as like news and happenings, things to that effect?
Yeah, I know a lot has happened. I think the biggest, most interesting things are still to come though. Like the last, since Bitcoin Cash split away from the other version of Bitcoin there, or from, maybe my point of view is Bitcoin Cash preserved the version of Bitcoin that I've been involved with all along. But anyhow, there's tokens on top of Bitcoin Cash that are starting to get more and more traction. So there's a ACD coin, which is going to be accepted all across Japan. There's different exchange tokens. Bitcoin.com exchange has a token. There's a stable coin on Bitcoin Cash. There's more and more happening on that. But what's really about to happen that I'm excited about is we're about to launch a brand new version of the Bitcoin.com wallet. It'll have privacy built right in where you'll be shuffling your Bitcoin Cash with everybody else's Bitcoin Cash so that all these companies that get paid by the US government or whoever else to spy on what people are doing with their cryptocurrency, hopefully we're going to put them out of business with our new Bitcoin.com wallet where you have really strong privacy built right into the wallet for all 6 million Bitcoin.com wallet users. So I'm really excited.
A built-in mixer?
We're calling it privacy mode, but yeah, it's effectively a built-in mixer that just runs right in the background automatically for everybody. So if you're using Bitcoin Cash in the Bitcoin.com wallet, you'll have a really strong privacy to protect yourself from all these spy companies that are trying to spy on what people are doing with their cryptocurrency. And the new wallet is coming out next week, so that's really, really soon. So,
is that going to be just desktop or will it be mobile as well?
No, it's mobile, primarily mobile, and desktop as well.
Okay, sweet. That's cool. Is there anything else that we can? I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you can't wait till next week, you can go to cashshuffle.com and get a desktop version right now today. But the mobile ones for Bitcoin.com will be out next week. Tentatively, we plan to launch December 16th, which is real soon.
Okay, sweet. Is there anything else that we should expect coming in the year 2020? Any big plans?
Yeah, I think that there's a whole lot out there, but that's the beauty of the market is you don't know all the different things that everybody's up to. So with Bitcoin.com, we'll have the privacy tool in the wallet. The tokens will be in the wallet. The stable coins will be there. We have a web wallet coming as well that you'll be able to access from the browser. We have local.bitcoin.com already launched where you can buy or sell Bitcoin Cash in any country for any payment method with no KYC required because Bitcoin.com is never touching your money in any way whatsoever. So that's very different than a lot of these other platforms out there where they're taking custody of your funds. At Bitcoin.com, we're trying to build all of these tools that put the individual in complete control of their own money, where Bitcoin.com never touches the money of the customers. We just write the software that empower other people to do whatever they want with their own money. And it's so much easier to do that with these on-chain transactions than it is to do with something like the Lightning Network. The Lightning Network is basically several orders of magnitude more complicated. And maybe someday it'll be possible to do these cool things in the Lightning Network, but it's so easy and simple to do it right now on chain with Bitcoin Cash. So we want to use the thing that works right now today, because life is short. Life ticks by really quickly. Let's take advantage of these technologies today, not have to wait a perpetual. They've been promising Lightning Network for 18 months. They've been promising that for like 5 years now. It's been 18 months away. And whereas Bitcoin Cash works right now today.
Impressive, dude. Impressive. I'm looking forward to that new wallet too, so I'll definitely have to be checking that out. So what other altcoins do you support? And are there any other new projects, even outside the Bitcoin Cash realm, that have any interest to you?
Yeah, I support anything that works. So of course, I'm a big fan of Ethereum. Ethereum has empowered any investor to invest in any entrepreneur anywhere in the world. And it's allowed capital to flow all over the world for all these new amazing projects like DeFi and all these other ones. So I'm a huge fan of that. I'm a fan of Dash trying to do basically the same thing as Bitcoin originally. They're trying to make peer-to-peer, electronic cash. I'm a fan of Zcash and Zcoin and Monero and like all these privacy coins, but I'm excited because Bitcoin Cash is about to have privacy that's in the same league as those with the built-in mixer and 6 million wallets, all mixing their coins. That's a big anonymity pool there to try and shift through if you're one of these chain analytics companies. So
no, that is a big deal.
But at the end of the day, I'm a fan of anything that works.
I think too, with the built-in privacy mode that you're talking about, I think something that we're going to see is becoming a possibility of something that's going to be a problem in the future is people who own Bitcoin that have been used for dirty transactions or in some false pretense per the government and has been flagged. Because from what I understand, some addresses are already flagged. And it might get to a point that if you own what they consider to be dirty Bitcoin, you're not really going to be able to utilize those funds. So I would call this fungibility. Would that be the correct term?
That's exactly right. So if you study what makes money, one of the characteristics is fungibility. It has to be fungible, otherwise it's not good money. And so with that privacy mode, we're building the fungibility right into the Bitcoin.com wallet with Bitcoin Cash for everybody. So that's a really big deal. And that's one of the things that Bitcoin doesn't have anymore now that the blocks became full. And Ethereum really has a problem on that front. But Bitcoin Cash, problem solved.
Awesome, dude. Well, again, I appreciate it. Now, before we wrap this thing up, was there anything else that you wanted to cover that we didn't talk about?
I think we got most of it. The biggest points to take away from this is like keep an open mind and think for yourself and don't believe something just because somebody told you. Like stop and think about what they said and ask yourself, does it make sense? When you hear people say Bitcoin Cash is a scam, well, stop and think, what's scammy about it? If you don't like it, don't use it. Nobody's forcing you to buy it. Like what's scammy about that, right? And for people that think it's useful, they can use it. Like that's a good thing. More choices are a good thing. The fact that people can choose between BTC and Bitcoin Cash and Ethereum and Dash and on and on and on, that's a good thing. Just like people can choose between Coca-Cola and Pepsi and root beer and Dr. Pepper, that's a good thing. How boring would the world be if everybody only was allowed to drink Coca-Cola? Well, how boring would cryptocurrencies be if everybody was only allowed to use Bitcoin? Like choice is a good thing.
No, I totally agree. I agree. Yeah, so before we wrap up, I do want to give a shout out to guy Crypto King on Twitter, Crypto King Unbanked, because he was the one who made this thing happen. Because, man, I've been trying to get an interview with you for quite some time. And this guy made it happen like super quick. And so I appreciate you, man. Thanks for doing that. And I'm going to have links down below so you can check out everything we're talking about. And also there's a Bitcoin Cash YouTube channel that Roger does a lot of updates on almost pretty much weekly, right?
Yeah, pretty much every week. So if you can put a description to that, I'll appreciate it. And for all the people that are watching this, subscribe to this channel and share this video with your friends. Like, channels that keep an open mind and are willing to look at anything that might be useful to people. Those are the type of things that we need more of. So thank you so much for hosting that platform.
Well, again, man, I appreciate it. If you can hold on 1 second. Ladies and gentlemen, if it's your first time ever checking out any of my content, I do encourage you to explore my channel. If you like what I'm doing, you can support me by subscribing, hitting that like button, commenting, and sharing. And as always, I encourage you to be the change by practicing change, and I love you all.